Hey, thanks so much for joining me for this episode of the Hip Hop Humboldt podcast. For this one, I got a special one. We're going across the Atlantic for this one, across the globe, and we got CJ from Yeo Records joining me today. Hey, CJ, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for having me on the podcast today. I'm a big fan of what you guys do, and yeah, I'm just excited to talk more about what I do, and yeah, I'm pretty happy to be here.
Hey, thank you for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. I've had my eye on what you and shout out to Kusa X. Kusa X is doing. Real quick for people that are tuning in that may not know, CJ is a part of Yeo Records, and CJ, along with Kusa X, formed Yeo Records. Am I right?
Yes, we formed it in 2020 in a period of time known as the COVID. Don't know if you're around. There was kind of a big deal in that time, and yeah, me. So we've been doing that for the best part of just over 3 years now. We started in lockdown. I've been a musician for longer than that. I started as a classical guitar. I learned that's how I learned all my music terminology from there. Did that for a couple of years. Then I repicked it back up in 2019 and I started practicing more. And I noticed that I was getting quite good at it. I was thinking, oh, and then lockdown happened. I thought, right, well, I've got nothing else better to do in my time, so I thought, might as well just keep on going. And got to a point where I was taking lessons, getting better at it. I was doing it for fun as a hobby, not really seeing it go anywhere, but I really enjoyed it and gave me the foundation I have today. Then around about, I think it was June 2020, yeah, about that. Alex reached out to me. That's Kusa X for I'll just be referring to him as Alex just for fees because I keep calling it just fees. I keep calling him that.
No worries. Thank you.
um so yeah, I met him. I met him online. We met through playing Call of Duty back in, oh god, when was it? It's been so long ago. It was about 2017, 2018. We those times were really good. It was so simple. We got online. We had a good time, and yeah, that's how we first met, and we kept in contact over the years. And I saw that he was doing starting to go into music, and I was thinking, hey, well, since you're learning how to do rapping, and I play, and I'm a musician myself, why don't we collaborate together to form a project? And then Yeo Records was born.
Nice.
So that's a very like quick how we met and came up with like the idea. We started just practicing, just coming up with, like, we've done a few like unreleased things that we'll probably never see the light of day, but we got the hang of it and the feel for it in the first year or so. And we came up with the company name. And when we were like brainstorming, we couldn't really come up with anything. And then one of us mistyped the word "yep" in our DMs, and that's how we came up with the name Yeo Records, because that sort of stuck in our head.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's that's really it. It's simple, but it's very catchy, and it's got a good flow to it. We just kept the name ever since, and we really like it.
Heck yeah. No, that's interesting. I love hearing those kinds of stories of sometimes it just, naturally just kind of came, and that was actually just from a quick spelling mistake.
Yeah, that's literally how we came up with the company name. It was a simple type of, but as they say, like the best things that happen are mistakes or complete accidents, and it was a complete accident.
That's
But
awesome.
but yeah, that so we kept, once we got the name, we then spent the next year tried to figure out production. I became more invested as a sound engineer, so I started and I use a software called Reaper, which is kind of like it's got the grid of FL, but it's laid out in a way that's similar to Logic Pro. So it's quite good. A lot of the people in the music like producers will have a go and say, "Oh, but you're not using Logic or FL," and I go, "But to me, it works so well because I could customize it in any way I want, and it's it all to me is the workflow, and that's just what I gravitated towards." So I learned a bit more about production over the years, started making guitar compositions and very basic sort of things that I've written from my youth. And Alex did the same sort of thing. He kept practicing, kept writing, we kept doing it, and we got to a point where we were like, oh, we actually started to get quite good at this. So we then continued on, and we started to release our stuff on Spotify. We originally released some stuff on SoundCloud and YouTube. It was a very unofficial thing until we figured out how to do distribution. And then once we got that figured out, Alex released his first EP called the S2Ed EP in 2021, I believe. I don't know the exact date off the top of my head. But that was the first release that we had on Spotify. And that paved the way to basically the rest of the last 2 years, where we really kicked up a notch in our growth and what we plan to do.
That's awesome. I think it's a real testament to the chemistry involved here, because it's not easy to do that on top of the distance between you guys to be able to do that. So, that's remarkable. And so, kudos to you guys for that.
Thank you. I've got to say, I mean, good thing you mentioned about time zones. That is one of the biggest challenges, is trying to, because there's depending on when the clocks, is either an 8 or a 9 hour time difference between us. So we've got a limited window of when we can collaborate, and if we need to do anything or make any kind of decisions. So that's quite challenging. So we knew we had to expand our operations to have more people coming in who believe in the same vision that we do. So we our first person we had in was a guy called Champy G. He still is with us via association, and he came through from, I think it was a comment that Alex put on a YouTube video, and then he got in contact with me, and then he was the first member we had in, and he is from New Jersey. So now we had another time. Yeah, it is crazy. Thinking, oh my god, we now covered both the east and west side of America.
Heck yeah, multiple, not just 2 but 3 different time zones.
Yeah. And then it's just, and then we started recruiting more and more people. So we've got a very talented roster. There's a playlist that we have of all of our work we have released on Spotify. For those who wanted to go check it out, for all the artists around there. We've got many talented artists from both America and also the UK as well. So yeah, let me have a quick check myself how many songs we've got out over the years that we've released. We have 376 songs out as the collective in about, I would say, when was this, about 2.5 years? Roughly,
wow,
about 2.5 years.
That's actually a lot of music.
It is a lot of music. We try to get something out once a month. We try to get something out as a label once a month because it keeps it consistent. And yeah, either it can just be a single or an album, or some of the guys just release full-length albums, or EPs, whatever it may be. As long as we keep releasing material, then yeah, it just shows the progression. I've got 3 albums out at the moment. Yeah, and a lot of our artists have got multiple major full length releases. Some people have got singles, So it's got quite a nice balance of both experienced and fresh artists on there.
That's awesome. No, and that's crucial too. So that way you're tapping into the different generations potentially. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And because that's something that's hard to do in hip hop. Is I feel like I'm 39 myself. Been listening to hip hop my whole life. And I'm slowly, as 39 years old, I'm becoming the older guy. You know what I mean? And so there's that age difference that's just slowly over time. It's just consistent. No matter how inconsistent or consistent we are, time is consistent.
Yes, time. Yeah, that's the only thing that's pretty consistent is that time. I mean,
that's right.
So for us, because we're all young in the grand scheme of things. I'm only 21 myself. We've still got a long ways to go, but I feel very positive about the general direction that we are going in, and it's gone to a point now where we have both the American side of things up and running, where we have a very talented group of artists, and also I'm expanding my waters over to the UK side of things and checking out the scene here. So, and there's a lot of really exciting young blood that's coming up through the scenes. So yeah, it's brilliant. And I go to a college in the UK because I'm studying music production called ACM, which is the Academy of Contemporary Music. And I'm currently in my final year. And I've met a lot of really great people from there. There's a lot of hungry, young, talented artists from both hip hop and other like genres in general. Your audience would be really interested in a group called Southside. Southside Records is run by a guy called Ned Price, and I've worked with him on promoting a few songs. I did a few mixing things here and there for him, and what he's done is incredible. He's come from absolutely like nothing, and he's just built up a live event similar to what you do, and it's brilliant. And like that's one example I can name of many good groups, and it's exciting to see lots of talent coming up through the scenes.
Heck yeah. You guys have specifically a bit of a I like to say it as an advantage because of having points of presence in like you in the UK and Kusa out here on the West Coast. You guys have the East Coast presence too, and so that way, because I feel like that's a goal of some of the local bands that are around here in Humboldt is, the goal is to branch out of Humboldt County and, and do more in other places and build your brand in other places. You guys have set up the infrastructure for yourselves and your artists to do that. And with you having, with you being in the UK, having someone similar, like you said, like someone that does stuff like out there, like with me or like the person you just, Ned Price, how you just explained about him, having people over there that are doing similar things, it just grows so much. It can grow so much faster.
Yes, absolutely. At the end of the day, we've all got similar goals, and those with the same vision as what we have, we love to work with, and I'm open to working with any artist from any genre. So one of my main guys is someone called Nate Allworth. He is my co-partner from my second act, which is called the Lucid Project, which we make chill out, relaxing music. Some of it's sleep, some of it you would be considered sleep music, some of it's more cinematic, and the main core is ambience. We're not pigeonholing ourselves into a specific genre per se, but we have basically, by having the core sound be ambient, we can then go on our first record, we have a song called Retrograde Memories, which is 80s synthwave-esque type. And then we have on the same record, there's jazz infusion. There's the opener is a cinematic piece I made. but it all fits together very cohesively in the same sort of sound. And he's been amazing to work with. I met him conveniently. We get the same train to college, and I saw him and I went, "Oh, I recognize him," because Nate is a 6'3" ginger giant. You can't miss him. So I'm like, "All right, I recognize him." So I went up to him on the train and went, "Hey, I know we get the same class," and yeah, we had pretty much clicked almost immediately, which was brilliant. And yeah, no, we've fully integrated him into our sound and just the music of TLP would not be possible without him. I wouldn't have even thought to make it. So he's really, like, with the two minds, just uplifted everything. He's a DJ, and he's learned, and he does house and drum and bass music. We are working on a hybrid fusion EP, which combines both rock and D&B, and we're excited to hopefully get that out next year. So
interesting. Yeah. I love the creativity. You guys aren't binding yourselves to any, really any box. And it sounds like it's creating something really remarkable, as unique.
Yes, that's what we try and go for. We want to create something that, like, the act itself is not bounded by a genre per se. We want a sound that we can constantly evolve. I'm sure there are many artists out there that, when they evolve, will do something really radical that they end up being called a sellout. And they would say, but go and do this record that you do. And for us artists, we go, but if we were to do that, it would just be boring. So
it's very true. In the industry, there's the want to kind of go with the flow of, the sound and the, how people are moving out there and stuff like that, the actions they take. But there's then you're really getting lost in a sea of talent. So you guys have done something to set the label as well as yourselves apart with the Lucid project, so that's great.
And I'm very excited for where we're going in 2024. We've done quite well. I took a little bit of a small break just so I can recharge for the new year. But we hit incredible numbers, and we're just excited to carry on the momentum into next year. We've got 2 albums out at the moment. Our current one we've released in August is called At the Edge of Time, and it's a concept album. It's about the journey from the edge of the universe to the very center, and the places and galaxies and people you meet across the journey. And that sort of concept album idea is what TLP is all about, really. Because we traditionally don't have a vocalist, so we have to try and capture the emotion that we want to capture with no words. And that's probably the hardest thing, I would say. On one of our records that we got planned next year, we are bringing a number of guest features in to do it. Akusa is one of them. We've got another rapper who's also with us. He's a very talented mixing master engineer called Slice. He's doing vocals on a song. We've got one vocalist I know in person called Mia Valance, and she is amazing singer, really talented. And we're pretty much open to working with anyone, really. If the song fits a certain trajectory, then we could just go for whoever matches the genre, to speak. And yeah, it's honestly just been great because we can just constantly keep evolving. And Nate is a workhorse. The amount of the amount of material that he's come up with is ridiculous. We have our third album pretty much done. We have one track to go, which I need to mix, and then it's done. So in a calendar year, we've got a spreadsheet chart where we keep a track of everything.
Nice, well organized.
Yes, and I recommend, if any artists out there, you keep yourself a basic spreadsheet or a checklist or something like that, because it can really help your workflow. TLP has released is going to be made to 26 we have out, and then we have an extra 14 which will be coming, I believe, February and March next year. So that's a lot of songs we've made over the course, and also we have to try and balance college on top of that as well.
Oh, right, 100%. No, you guys are busy students. That's great. I love the drive that I'm hearing. That on top of that, the level of creativity. It sounds like you guys are, again, not bounded by any expectations, let's say, or the, again, like the, the way things kind of just go, which really allows you to harness what's inside of you, that creativity that's inside you guys. And so that's one of the things that I think is remarkable too. When I've watched the music videos of yours that I've seen, it's something that I'm not seeing a lot of out there. Between the visual elements that you guys are smart with, it sounds like your team, you have a very robust team, because you were saying that you're doing mixing and you guys have a person that's doing vocals and mixing and mastering. So when you have people on the team that are multifaceted, you just have that much more strength.
Yeah. We are open to working with basically any artist that share the same vision as us, and we've worked with artists who have multiple other skills. Nate is good with graphic design, for example, and he's specialized in AI. Slice is a guy, I'm going to call him Ash. He is a excellent mixing and mastering producer. All of Ned Price's material he has out, and anything in the college that is hip hop, he's had most likely had a hand in the mixing and the mastering of the song. And yeah, his work has been on the radio as well. There's a station in the UK called BBC One introducing, and Ned's had 2 songs on there. One of them I did. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's really cool. There's a scheme where every week you can submit in any song you want. Someone from the team will review it, and if they like it, they will showcase it on BBC Radio 1, which is the biggest radio station, I believe, in the UK. So it's quite a big deal if you manage to get yourselves on there.
Heck yeah.
So that's what me and myself and Nate were trying to do, and that's why we're having a number of guest vocalists come on. So hopefully we can try and get ourselves on there. But yeah, that's such a great scheme to have. If you're an artist and you manage to get yourself on there, it's brilliant, because I've seen people's careers take a big lift from it.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, I can only assume that BBC One, that's a huge holding. They've got a huge worldwide audience. And so that's, really taking it to new levels. I'm so impressed. That's so cool that you guys have had 2 tracks from the work that you've done on BBC One, And I agree that, it's so interesting here in the States because, there are, there's the, NPR has, a lot of different cool things that they're doing. Like, for instance, like the Tiny Desk, NPR Tiny Desk.
Yes.
And, so there's, it's almost like on a local level, There's here in Humboldt County, it's a smaller area. It's not a big area. It's not a metro area. But if you go down to, let's say, LA and you get yourself on, let's say, like KCRW, I'm sorry, KCRW, or certain stations that are really like leaders in the alternative music scene, it can really put you on the map. So BBC One, I'm in awe. That's impressive.
Yeah. I think Ash, from his music, I think he's got more song in there. I think there was a guy called Daniel AJ that has his stuff on the radio as well. There's probably a few others, but I don't remember off the top of my head. But he is not only such an amazing human being like my pal Nate, he is extremely talented in mixing and mastering engineer. Oh yeah, he also did one with a guy called Case the Myth that got on the radio as well. So I think he's had 5 songs appear on the radio. It might be more, but that's the ones I think I know of.
Nice. That's impressive, just right there.
And the fact he's with us is just amazing. And the 3 of us get along so well. I don't think we've had hardly any arguing whatsoever. And that's what makes working with these guys just amazing. It's just the ease and the fact that we can just say what needs to be said, and there's no judgment. No one has egos that get in the way. It's just brilliant to get along with them still, and I feel very lucky.
That is lucky, and that's it doesn't happen often, and so you're right. You're right to feel lucky there. That's but it makes everything so much better, and it comes through in the quality of what you guys are doing, the quality of the art.
Yes, and that is the whole goal, really, is to make sure that what we put out has meaning to it. It's got, for me, TLP specifically is all about capturing emotions, and also both on relaxing, because we want people to just feel calm and ease from it. But when the song is a bit more intense, we want to capture a specific emotion that we want. And that is really what TLP is about. For my solo stuff, I'm a solo artist, so I do every part. So I do vocals, I do guitar, bass, drums, etc. So by me doing everything, I've got to figure out a way to utilize the tools I have at my disposal through software, any kind of technique that can help do that. So I'll give you an example. There's a drum kit software I use called, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but it's called Extinction Level Event. It's by a company called Spectre Digital. Now, there are many other drum companies that have good sounding drums, but they have lacked realism. I can hear a programmed kit quite easily, but this kit is so good. It is as good as if I was to have a 10 grand setup kit. And the reason why is because it has a thing called bleed control. So when you record the microphones all the same time it has bleed, that's how you get the realism, the humanism come in. And that is just, it can really make a recording just have that human element which rock needs. But let's say if I'm doing something electronic, I need drum samples, you can turn it off. You can turn off and have more of a traditional sound. So it's the versatility of it makes it brilliant for recording. No,
that's killer. I'm a sound guy myself, in terms of production, and so I love tips like these. And I know that there's the HipHopHumboldt podcast is an artist's podcast. I want to say that one of the largest subsets of audience for this podcast are local artists, and so they're going to love hearing those kinds of tips. I'm a person, I'm definitely going to be writing that down. On top of just, I'm one of these old hip hop heads, and that's actually the name of one of my favorite albums of all time is Busta Rhymes, ELE, Extinction Level Event.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's
That's
one of his best albums from the '90s. Heck yeah! So no, that's killer. It really is important too, like you're saying, when you're, you guys are young, you guys are busy, and you guys have to maximize technology to harness everything you can get out of it to be able to, keep everything top, as pro as possible, as filled out. I just personally, something I really find most poignant about what I've heard so far from you is that just the level of creativity coming out of what you guys are doing. And so, again, that when you guys are smart enough and talented and skilled enough to use tools that are out there to save yourselves time and maximize the production, that's exactly what people need to be doing. And I hope that people listening to the podcast are taking that to heart. That's what we have to do. Even in Humboldt County, we have to harness the tools that are out there. Otherwise we're going to fall behind.
Yeah, especially in this industry, it's ever changing. I mean, Spotify, for example, has released a number of new policies that have come in for and I don't know if you've seen them or been familiar with them, but those changes are quite big. They're probably some of the biggest changes in the last few years. Every time there's been a quarter, they've had, oh, here's a new feature, and they go, okay, that's quite cool. They're actually cracking down on a number of things. And when I did my research on it, I was thinking, wow, there's a lot of stuff on Spotify that isn't music. I saw I can't remember exactly where this is from, but it was basically just ambience of ocean waves crashing, and that had 200 million Spotify plays. I'm thinking, oh my goodness! And if you get to pay the royalty on that, that is ridiculous. I think that's somewhere. Trying to count. Yeah, it's about $600,000 roughly.
Oh my
that
God.
they've made just from wave ambience.
Oh man, I believe it though, because that's what you see on YouTube. You see some videos like that'll be like hours and hours of just ambient music or waves crashing, fireplace crackling, and I mean, like you said, it's got 20 million views on these.
200 million.
200 million. Now that's a lot. That whoever did that, that's actually smart. That's a pretty smart.
When I found out, I was thinking, I'm in the wrong business. I didn't get on this.
Oh, I know. No, the sound guys that are in the best position are guys coming from like movie studios, because they've got so much knowledge about sound on that level to be able to go into a studio and take who knows what, the weirdest things that you're able to take sometimes and make these sounds. And then if you wouldn't know any better, if you were to actually, let's just say you're watching a show on Netflix or Disney or Hulu or something, and you're watching it, you're hearing it, and you're hearing some shaking sounds or some sounds that are setting ambiance and setting the scene for you. But if you were to actually see the instruments that they're using, weird, interesting things that you'd never think of to make the sounds that are really making these videos pop,
Foley sound is incredible. And if anyone who's a sound engineer, I highly recommend you check out some behind the scenes footage of what these guys come up with for sound effects that are used in movies. And I think, wow, that's brilliant. And your brain wouldn't instantly think, I'm just trying to think of an example, like if they're having like a thunder effect, they have, I believe they use a laminated chart, and they move it at a high speed with metal, I believe, and that creates the thunderstorm sound effect. Or if something's getting like crushed in like a horror movie, they use bell peppers and they break them apart. Things of that. Yeah, it's crazy.
It really is.
So yeah, I highly recommend having a look into it if you're into that sort of thing.
Heck.
And
you said the Foley brothers?
Foley sound, just generally speaking. That's what. Yeah, just generally speaking. Any kind of movie you hear in the last 50 years probably have to some degree of Foley sound. In our music, we've used some pretty unconventional sounds to have on one of my songs. we in Serum we put a picture into Serum, and it came up with a really weird sort of glitchy sound, and we're thinking, oh, I thought, wow, I could try and use this in a song. There's a lot of inspiration out there, and there are tons of ways to be creative. And what I love about Foley sound in particular is that it takes a very unconventional way, but it sounds like what it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm. Heck yeah. No, there's vision involved there. And sometimes it's also, trying different things, but you even have to have just the thoughts in your head. Somebody had to come up with, these things that they're using to make these different sounds, and you know what I mean? And so that's the art. There's art. It's big time art involved there,
Yeah.
And like you said, again, that's well-paying art, whether you're in the movie studio or submitting, songs to Spotify with ambient, sounds, there's so many different ways nowadays to, harness your creativity that people don't think of until you kind of step outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
We're really, nowadays in today's world, especially now, we've moved from the TV generation to the, electronic screen generation, and,
yeah.
It's really I feel like it's a double-edged sword, because it's put a lot of tools, like we're talking about, in people's hands to create, where you do have to still have the vision. Like, you can have all the tools that you want in the world, but if you don't have the vision, and some talent involved too, it makes it a lot harder.
Yeah. I think for a lot of young artists, you have to have a good understanding of social media. Social media is everything now. Radio can help, and there are many other outlets you can do, but that's something we are still working on to try and figure out, is social media. We're planning on launching our account properly next year. I want to wait till my college is done before I properly launch it, because we have a number of ideas what we want to do for it. So mastering the art of social media is what I would say can change something overnight. There are artists that I'll give you an example. There's a female producer called Kenya Grace. She went to my college, I believe. She had did pretty decently before that. Then she released a song called Strangers, which went number one in the UK.
Oh,
number
wow.
one, yeah. First like industry song on the charts, I believe, and it has. Oh, let's check how many streams it has. It's got hundreds of millions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I think she's with Warner Brothers now. And yet 359 million streams, and it was released on September 1st.
Of this year?
Of this year, yeah. It released on September 1st.
Oh,
it beat out
wow.
It beat out Drake to get to number one in the UK charts. It's a miracle. And what is so amazing about that song in particular is, I think it's the second time ever in the UK where the song is entirely self-produced. It is entirely made by her, and that is an inspiration to what we do, because we go that's possible. That is really possible. She's now got a deal with Warner Brothers. She's front page of Spotify's billboards in New York, and yet that's an example where it's the song itself is liquid drum and bass. It's a really good song, but it just goes to show that how it blew up was because of TikTok, and TikTok and Instagram blew that up to such a degree that it just became number one in the charts. There's many other examples that's happened in the last couple of years, but that one really stood out to me because she went to the same college I did. And I find that to be just remarkable.
That's super. That's a testament to like you said, self-produced. So that puts that sets a whole new standard for, you know what I mean? You can do this, not that you would necessarily always want to do it by yourself, but you can do it. You know what I mean? It's within your reach without any, you know what I mean? And that's why I'm, you know, you're definitely, you guys were smart to say, you know, you're trying to figure out social media, because when somebody really, really does figure out social media, then their worth is huge, because they can help you really, you know, get on them.
Oh yeah. I had an example happen to me. I now there's a band, Metallica released their latest record April this year. Now I for a week I was studying where either Lars, that's the drummer, or the admin would come online, and I studied that because they were reposting covers. And on the album day, I put the title track on because that would be the most recognizable in the algorithm. 3 minutes later, the admin likes my post and reposts it to their account with 10 million followers.
Oh,
I think the post has 157,000 views at the moment, on which is, considering I'm tiny, that is huge.
yeah, that's big time. No, that's killer. That's how you start to get on the map. It's important, you know.
Yeah. It's just that kind of experience is, if you think a bit more than just, oh, here's the post. If you think a little bit more ahead about how you're going to approach it, do tags. Okay, that's a step more. Then you got to think about trends and content and what's popular at the moment. So whilst the art itself is extremely important, and I think it should be always be the core for any kind of music, is that what you make or what you cover comes from you and it has purpose. But it's also very, very important that it has you know exactly what to do with it, because success can come from that. And once the ball starts rolling, it's only going to continue to keep on going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to start to prepare yourself. You know, no, that's super cool. I love hearing that. It just shows that you know, you really have to self-advocate for your brand. You know, you really got to push it. You got to be serious. It just it reminds me of this certain thing. You know, you really have to that's what like marketing agencies and companies are out there doing, is they're facilitating and fostering some of, you know, if they're good marketing agencies, they're facilitating and fostering these kinds of ideas that we're talking about that are going to set somebody up to actually, you know, pop on the algorithm and you know, go viral and everything like that. And so if you don't, that's what comes in. That's why the vision is so important, because you have to know the vision for your own work and how it's going to mesh with that. Because if there's incongruence there, you know, that's going to hurt your potential long term. Somebody may pop on an Instagram, but if it doesn't connect with the people, then it's not going to do that desired effect. And when it does connect with the people, that's when you've got people sharing it, you know what I mean? And then you really start to proliferate and get out there. And so a lot of the times people don't have the funds, the money to pay for that. So it goes back to like what you said. It's very important to know yourself, know what you have for your own vision and how you want to put these things out there, and pre-plan and actually put the time into thinking about these things. Otherwise, you are just doing yourself a disservice to a point. You could just, you know, there is just the idea of just, you know, putting something out there every single, let's just say, day, make a reel every single day, right? And then just try and wait till, you know what I mean? Like on average, you know, one post every 2 weeks is going to get a decent amount of views. You know what I mean? It might get a few thousand views, but until you can actually put the forethought in and actually set yourself up to connect with the people, that's that goal. And social media is actually, it's hard because it puts you as a needle in the haystack, but it does still give you that capability to connect.
Definitely. I totally agree with all that. I think especially if someone who's a similar size to me wants to get on and is struggling to break out and struggling to have success, have a think about who your audience is. It could be very simple as putting 1 or 2 hashtags in. The algorithms constantly change. So 6 months ago, it was really popular to have about 15 hashtags on a post. I'll use mine as an example. Now it's the opposite. Now you need only a couple now for it to most likely trigger. And it constantly changes. TikTok, I believe, is a different, again, itself. That is, you got to try and turn out, I think, optimization. It constantly changes. But at one point, optimization was 4 reels a day. It was 4 posts a day.
Oh, dang. That's a lot.
That's a lot. And that's really hard to keep up with for the average. You would have to make 6 seconds type videos, which is a little bit difficult for a musician, because by the time you do something, it ends, and you don't want that. But if you're doing promotion, it can work. You can do something that's short that's memorable, and there are countless artists who have cracked it. And I would say, for anyone who wants to break out, consistency is key, number 1. I think having a reliable, but don't overwork yourself, but also know who your audience is. And if you have an understanding of your audience, then it makes it a lot easier. Yep,
100%. No, I completely agree. And that's all a part of the work that an artist has to do is, know your demographic, know who you're, in the United States, at least, around this area specifically, there will be different demographics, but like the target demographic is men aged 30 men aged 24 to 40 around here is like the target. And so you have to know that, and once you do know that, it's going to make it a whole lot easier. You can actually even tailor, just for instance, if you bought a boosted ad, then you can tailor it to specifically that demographic. And so then you're maximizing your money, right? You're not just, you can just go out there and spend, and hey, I want to boost a post $50, and just anybody who likes the keyword hip hop. That's not targeted enough. You know what I mean? If you can actually harness the tools that they have to actually say, hey, I want to target, this specific gender, this specific, age group, and even target it, a radius of 10 miles around your hometown or something. You got to use those things to dial it down to maximize the money. And then when you do actually start to get your ad out there, it's hitting people that it's meaningful to, and you have a whole lot more chance that they're going to share it.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something that I've learned from doing Facebook advertising. It's called Meta now. I hate the fact they keep changing. Everything's changed in 5 seconds. I'll just call it Facebook, because it's what we called it for the last 10 years.
Right.
So when you set up a Facebook ad, it's very complicated, because you've got to think about, okay, do I want this to be a promotional ad where I boost my page to the algorithm, or do I want it to be a conversion ad where I want someone to click a link onto a song? Or you're advertising something, let's say it's merchandise. If you're fortunate enough to have a merchandise page, got to figure out what's going to make people click this link, or what's going to make people want to buy this. And then it becomes a whole plethora, and you need a good visual. You need it to be easy and recognizable. There's a lot of moving parts. And also as well, if you're trying to go for if you're going for local, then that's you've got your marketing level pretty sorted. But if you want to go for a more broad audience, slightly broader, you've got to know what countries are good. So I'll give an example. If you're doing Facebook ads, you do not pick India, for example, because what would happen is India will eat up your entire budget, and then your audience will be owed to India, and then India's revenue bring back to them is not very good, for example.
Yep.
Those kind of things you've got to keep in mind of.
Yep. No, 100%. Yeah, CPM rates are something out there where you're going to get paid, and if the CPM rate is low for where you're advertising, yeah, no, you're not going to get paid back and so you're completely right.
Yeah. Fortunately for Facebook, you can close an ad off quickly if it doesn't match the demographic you want. So it's quite good for that. And you need to have a decent budget for Facebook, but it's not out the realms of impossibility. But again, doing it yourself is tough. You have to know what you're doing. So most people opt for a marketing agency, as you've said, and then you got to figure out who's a good marketing agency that's not going to rip you off. And on top of that, if they are a good one, chances are their rates are really expensive. That maybe, let's say, someone my age who's a college student can't afford that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure you would probably agree with me on this, but in the modern day, you have to be a jack of all trades, or at least know a lot of different skill sets. That's why I try and recruit people who have a different skill set. There's someone who I'm planning on meeting who works in graphic design and actually was interested in that on a serious level, and also does DJing, also does hip hop, vocalist, those kind of things. If you have a lot of skill sets, that's you can do a lot of things in the industry. And for us, we've basically, as a label, we've had to figure out how to do everything. How do we get a merchandise store set up? How do we use Instagram? How do we use Twitter? How do we connect with other artists, both online, because we're across the globe, and also in person for myself? Are they reliable? What can they bring to the table? And sometimes it's a gamble. It's a gamble putting people in. You've got to have a lot of trust in people. Sometimes it works out amazingly. Sometimes it doesn't. So if you persist and know what you're doing, then it is possible. And that's something that we're still constantly working on new ventures. And basically, if there's an opportunity that comes up through either something like AI, as I previously mentioned, or an endorsement deal comes up, then you've got to take it. So this is a very recent thing that I managed to secure. I'm now endorsed by a guitar pick manufacturer called Geppetto Picks. They are the largest boutique guitar pick maker, and they are from Australia. The guy who runs the accounts and the business is a guy called Jackie, and he makes these beautiful, one of a kind, custom made picks. This one's called the Hellwing. There's a few other different designs that he does, and they're all mainly, whilst he does do thinner ones, they're predominantly thicker pick. This is a mini Osprey, for example, which is absolutely beautiful, and I use that a lot for recording.
The quality of those are looking great.
Yeah, they are amazing durability wise as well. They've survived. I accidentally put one in the washing machine because it got taken out my pocket, and no damage. It survived that.
Oh wow!
That I found to be, wow, that's impressive. No damage whatsoever. Then over the course of time, a traditional thin pick, let's say if it's like a 0.5 to 1 millimeter thick. After a week of use, if let's say you do it for a couple hours a day, you're going to notice it start to chip and damage. And then the more you use it, the more then it breaks and it becomes no longer effective. And you have to go and buy another one. I've had some of these for 6 months to a year, and virtually no damage. They play just as good, and they're amazing. And Jackie kindly has endorsed me. So I'm very excited to be alongside him, and I highly recommend if you're in for something that's a bit more than your traditional guitar pick where it breaks, or you're looking for a thicker feel, something more premium, I highly recommend using them for guitar playing. Bass as well is great. He also does thinner ranges as well. He does 3mm ones, which he's recently started making, and also the regular standard thin ones as well. So he's got a very good plethora of choice. So I highly recommend it. And yeah, I'm very fortunate to be working with him. He commented on one of my, I can't remember which one it was, but he commented on one of my posts, and I had a look at his page, and then I saw his products and going, wow, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And the rest is history, really. And
oh man, that's a great collaboration. That sounds awesome. Right up your alley, being a guitarist and bassist, you know what I mean? And so that's cool. Congratulations there. That's exactly, I hope that people are seeing this and are inspired by this, because this is exactly what I encourage my friends and artists around here, is that it's time to really start doing this, start going out and solidifying sponsorships. You know what I mean? You want a company to be interested in what you're doing and supporting it. You know what I mean? And then you get, swag and different gear to be able to, let's say, use or even, hook some friends up with to spread the brand. You know what I mean?
I've given Nate and Ash have got their own, which I bought for them as a birthday present, and they're amazing. They're amazing. I feel very lucky. I also wanted to touch on something as well. I haven't really publicly spoken about this, but I have had quite a difficult time with my health issues. I have a condition called joint hypermobility syndrome, where basically my joints are hyperflexible. So basically my body is constantly under strain. I'm prone to dislocating and pulling and all that sort of stuff. And that's been quite a difficult thing, because there are certain days where I can't move. I get up and my leg is in either extreme pain or it's seized, and there's not really much I can do about it. But I had a choice. I was diagnosed when I was about 13 years old. I've had it since I was 11. I used to be really good at basketball. I was lightning quick. I played on the wing, and I was brilliant. I did that for a couple of years. But in the course of 3 months, I went from playing right at the front, being the fastest, to being right at the back at the slowest, and my training didn't change. I was thinking, what the bloody hell is going on? This isn't normal. I was speaking to my coach at the time saying, this isn't right. What the hell? So after a couple of years of checking, we found out that this was the case, and it's quite difficult to overcome. But with everything I've said previously, anyone who has any kind of health condition or something that gets in their way, you can overcome pretty much any challenge that gets thrown in your way. And especially with what's happened to me in my personal life with my health and it being difficult to do things. Like going to college, for example, really takes it out of me. I'm knackered when I get home. But you can do it, and there are ways to get around these things, and that's why I really have pursued music, because it's something I can do that's within my limitations, that I can really pursue and concentrate and put all my effort into it. So yeah, I just hope that if anyone who's experiencing any kind of health problems, whether it be simple as you break something or sprain something, to a serious long-term issue, that you can overcome and achieve anything we want with the right mindset.
Definitely. No, that's an inspiring story, CJ. It's it's important to note that, when you fight through struggles that you have, that there is light, and that you're not the only person out there, and that so hopefully artists that are listening, take that to heart. It's very important to know that you can you can come back, you can bounce back from things. I've seen things in my life. We've seen all kinds of different people fight through adversity like that, but you can still fight through it. You can get through it.
Yeah. And I think it's just really a testament to what we've accomplished, that because of all the stuff, I've had a lot of people, a lot of doubters, and I just have a relentless drive to just pursue this. And because I can see that it is going in the way that I want it to. It may take a little bit longer, but what we've accomplished this year is brilliant. I don't have it with me because I'm at a different place, but I've made copies. I have CDs on my albums now, which we've made. I'm sure Alex will touch on it himself in his interview. But that, for example, we didn't even think that would be possible for a long time, but yet we have the ability to make CDs or vinyls, and that's really cool. We have a merchandise store that we are planning on expanding next year into. It's a very basic premise, but having one is great, and having all these things there, you can expand on that idea later on down the line with more work and more designs, new features, anything like that. The hardest thing I would say for me is balancing everything. Is when you're a musician, you're doing, and if you're doing, let's say you got work, or in my case it would be college, then you have your own music. I have 2 acts. I have the label to manage, so I've got to keep an eye out on everything that's happening, that anything that releases, anything like that comes out. I have to make sure we're on the ball, we're on the same page. If any mixing, some people might want me to play guitar, so I have to go and write the guitar passage out. I have to, or produce something, or mix something. There's a lot of things going on, and it's quite complex. So getting everything done is tough, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. I got burnt out, but I'm taking a break, and from taking the break, I feel much better. I feel more refreshed. I've got a good frame of mind for going into next year, and we're really gonna go at it again like we did in 2022 and 2023.
Nice. No, it's super crucial to know yourself. So I'm glad that you're taking some rest, to close out the year. And then coming back strong for 2024. That's that vision, you know what I mean, where a lot of the times people won't, and I'm not, this of course isn't knocking anyone in specific. This is just a general case of, sometimes people will just kind of just go and keep going without a vision. And, you have to have a vision, and you have to pace yourself, but, pace yourself in a way where you're getting things done while not, burning yourself out. And so, and then having the consciousness and flexibility to say, okay, this is the point I'm at, my cup is a little, needs some refilling. And so, so you're going to slow it down. And then when that cup is full again, you're, coming out full strength.
Yeah. It's been a very good thing to take a break, because I've pretty much been working on Yeo Records for 2.5 years straight, no breaks. Like that's a true testament to show, because I just felt like I needed to keep going. But I then realized to myself that if I keep going, I'm just going to completely destroy myself. And even if it's just a week, sometimes just taking a week off is all you need. I need a little bit more time off because Christmas is coming up. I'm going to spend some time with my family. But it can be a very beneficial thing to do. And I know many people have taken breaks for months and then they've come back and then they've hit the ground running again. So don't be scared to take a break. It's what I'm trying to say.
No, it's important advice. I really appreciate that, CJ. I'm the type I need to take that type of advice too. I'm kind of in the same mode where I'm, as the year is wrapping up, I'm trying my best to relax. There's only so much relaxing you can do as we're in the holiday season and whatnot. But you do have to take breaks and refill your cup.
Yeah. I like that analogy as well. I'm stealing that.
Heck yeah. No, I am so impressed by what you and Kusa X have been doing. I'm going to be stoked to get Kusa on in the coming weeks, and then continue to work with you guys to support you guys. Consider Hip Hop Humboldt, a sister arm of what you guys are doing, an extension of what you guys are doing. Let me know anytime you guys need any support. And especially with when you guys are bringing out releases, if you have people on your record label that you're like, okay, this person's got a release coming out, we want to get them on the podcast, let me know and we're going to do it.
Oh, absolutely. I think there'll be a lot of people that are on the label that would love to have an interview with yourself, and there's a lot of really talented people that we've got on our label. I'm sure there'll be people, because I'll be sharing this myself for anyone who's listening. Who's with me, would love to share their side of the story and how they came to be a musician. And I'm really excited and optimistic about the future for us. We're excited to have the direction and everything in place that we need. We've got a solid plan. We have an idea what we're going to do. So obviously going to have no plans perfect. There's going to be challenges that come up, but we've overcome the quite difficult challenges, and we just come back stronger. And we're really excited. Personally, for me, in terms of my releases, I've got an album coming out next year that's going to be quite personal.
Nice.
So for people who are into rock, will like it. And for people who prefer something more chill and relaxed, where we've got more Lucid Project material coming out. We've got a third album which will be called Planetary Confinement, which will be out on I believe sometime in February or March. And then we'll have one other thing that's guaranteed, which will have a lot of guest vocals on. So I'm sure, especially the one with Slice, I think your audience is going to really, really enjoy. That'll probably be the first single we release, and that we're really excited for this year. That's for me, and for the rest of the guys who are on there, we're all really excited for what's coming in 2024 and beyond. So yeah.
Heck yeah. No, I love it. I love again the collaboration, the international collaboration within Yeo Records. I love the fact that you guys are smart enough to have, what you were saying earlier. It really is crucial to have a merchandise store. So, that's an important revenue stream, because you're going to have your fans that are going to want to wear your gear around when they go to events and things like that, and you hit it exactly on the head where, you got to have some new designs every now and then, you know what I mean? And, do a refresh on things. And so that keeps the interest up amongst your fans. And so you guys are really doing a good thing out now, not even just out there, out here too. It's great to see. If I was to ask you, you kind of already got into it, but if I was to ask you a question that I ask all my podcast guests, what is some advice that you would have to up and coming artists, whether it's where you are or, through your collaborations with Kusa X and out here in Humboldt County and in California, the West Coast? What would you suggest to people that are just starting off?
Oh, if you've got no experience in music in general, if you want to become, let's say, a rapper, find the sound you want to go for, experiment, keep and persist with it until you get better. Practice, especially in that genre, makes perfect. Then over time, your flows, your rhythms will get better, and then over time you're going to be more interested in the sound and learning how beats are made. And even if the beginning, let's say you're not necessarily happy with the quality of it, you're only going to get better. And I would say especially persistence is the key, really. And if you're interested in more musicianship, I would say that generally pick up an instrument. If you can go for an entry level, it doesn't have to be a guitar. It could be a bass, drums. It could be a key. If you want to play a keyboard, a piano, or like a classical instrument, anything like that. Find an entry level instrument. Have lessons if you can afford it. If not, there are plenty of tools online that you can find that can help improve your playing. And then just, again, same thing, practice, and then everything will work itself out. The other thing I'm going to say is more of a general thing. Learn how to network. I think networking is without that, Yeo Records would be nothing. I wouldn't have even started if it wasn't for both myself and Kusa reaching out and forming the same idea. And then again, with all the people I met in college, reaching out to people and going, hey, I really like your stuff. Not only can make them feel amazing, they were more likely to work with you, especially if they're just starting out. Mm-hmm. So if you know someone who's in your town, even if it's not a big town, if you know someone nearby who's interested in the same sort of thing, work with them, because doing it alone is going to be tough. You're going to need to work with people. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't quite work out with the people you meet initially, that's fine. There's tons of talented people that want to work with you who are just up and coming. So yeah, I would say definitely learn how to network and just be good and just be kind. If you're kind to someone, chances are they'll be kind to you back.
Mm-hmm. You're going to have a lot better time out there in the community being kind to people rather than expecting or being anything more than courteous to people. We're all dealing with struggles, and musicians are often engaging to release from their struggles, and so it's definitely important to be respectful out there and networking 100%. I completely agree with all these points that you made. Actually, that's one of the things in Humboldt County that I really have continued to recommend to the artists, my friends and people out here, is that you have to network. It's too small of an area around here. I'm sure where you are, you know what I mean? It may be bigger, but, there's a small community around you, you know what I mean, of people, talented people. And if you're, it's a good example of, I could have, when I was doing this podcast over the last couple of years, I could have just, done just the podcast and not, go to events and work with people and talk to people. It's like you had said earlier in this interview, I think it was the gentleman, Ned Price, or potentially somebody else who's done that same thing, really not built the scene, but gone out and fostered and supported growth in the scene,
Yeah, absolutely. And Southside Records has done a fantastic job, and that's one of many examples at my college I can name that's done really well. And there are people coming up at all ages that are talented. There are lots in my college. I mean, there are a lot of talented artists that I think have got a bright future. They're talented. The question is, can they operate themselves in a way that they can get the success? Because again, talent is very important, and I think it's the backbone. But you need to know your audience and how to market yourself out there, and that's why I particularly use Ned Price, because he's had success from it, and there are lots of artists who are probably in a similar position, who've just started. Only bands existed for maybe less than a year. They're just getting off the ground. In a couple of years, if they have the persistence and the right mindset, they'll get there as well. And every artist who I've worked with, certainly got potential. They've just got to use it.
That's right. That's right. Push it full speed ahead and don't let anything get in your way. You know what I mean? And, but take your breaks too. That's very important. When you got to keep your cup full.
Yes, I love that analogy. I'm definitely I love that analogy. Just having the cup being, you've got to have enough resources and juices to keep on going.
Yeah. Hey, CJ, I got a lot of respect for you and what you guys are doing out there.
Thank you.
Keep going, keep doing it. You guys are going to have Hip Hop Humboldt out here supporting you guys. Keep in touch with me when you guys are doing your next releases. Anything you want to let the community know about, the community here in the States or in the UK. I appreciate you sharing the podcast with your label mates and people in your community there. That way they can hear what you guys have been doing. And we're going to keep our eyes on each other and continue to facilitate and foster each other's growth.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited. I thank you for having me. I feel very lucky, and I'm excited for the future. It's just hard work, keep on going, and
That's right. That's right. That's all that anybody can ask of you. They can't ask for more of you than hard work. Heck yeah. No, thank you again, CJ. And to all the listeners of the Hip Hop Humboldt podcast and to new listeners, thank you for joining us. You can tap in at HipHopHumboldt.com. There's going to be all the podcast episodes there for you to watch at any time. Going to be some updates about upcoming events that we have here, Humboldt Local. And I really want you guys to tap in with Yeo Records and go to the Yeo Records merch shop. I'm actually going to go buy a hoodie real soon here. Heck yeah. I got to make sure I'm rocking that one, especially for the Kusa X interview. That's next on deck.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you very much. And thank you for having me on. And just a really excited time for us. And we're hoping to continue on in the new year, especially with working with new artists, got new music, and we're only going to get better.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much again, CJ.